Welcome to Betrayal Diaries. Here you'll find powerful stories of love, lies, and heartbreak. I only need 300 subscribers right now. And your support means everything. Hit that subscribe button and be part of this journey. When I first met Emily, I thought I had finally found the missing piece of my life. She was bold, outspoken, and the kind of woman who lit up every room she entered. Me? I was quieter, more reserved. The type who believed love wasn't about fireworks but about showing up every single day. I gave her consistency, loyalty, and my heart, thinking those were strengths any woman would value. But for Emily, they became reasons to mock me. At first, her words were subtle. If I asked for time together, she'd roll her eyes and say, "You're too needy." If I tried to hold her hand in public, she'd pull away and laugh. "Don't be soft, people are watching." I brushed it off, convincing myself she just had a different way of expressing love. I told myself she'd see the depth of what I was giving her eventually. But the jokes grew sharper. One night, after I planned a quiet dinner for just the two of us, Emily leaned back in her chair and smirked. "You know what your problem is, Daniel? You're weak. Always clinging to love like it's oxygen. Strong men don't beg for affection." Her words hit harder than any punch I'd ever taken. Weak. I thought being vulnerable, honest, and committed were signs of courage. I tried to explain that wanting her love wasn't weakness. It was simply being human. But she waved me off, sipping her wine like my feelings were an inconvenience. That night, I stared at the ceiling long after she fell asleep. For the first time, I asked myself, what if she wasn't wrong about me being weak? Not because I wanted love, but because I was staying with someone who despised it. I had been fighting for a connection that only I valued. That wasn't strength. That was surrendering myself piece by piece. The next morning, Emily made another jab as I reached for her hand. "Seriously, Daniel, you're pathetic sometimes. Why can't you just be like other guys, detached, unbothered?" She laughed like it was nothing, but I felt something inside me snap. I didn't react right away. Instead, I sat there quietly, staring at her as if I was seeing her for the first time. The woman I had loved so deeply was mocking the very thing that defined me. She thought strength was about coldness, about not needing anyone. But to me, real strength was in admitting you cared. Still, I realized I had been spending years trying to convince her of something she never wanted to understand. That day I went to work like normal, but my thoughts never left the night before. Her laughter echoed in my head, and the word weak carved itself into my chest. By the time I came home, something had changed inside me. I looked around the apartment we shared, the framed pictures, the notes I had left her on mornings before work, the little reminders of a man who had given everything. And I felt a strange calmness. Emily was in the living room, scrolling on her phone. She didn't even look up when I entered. I watched her for a moment, and then I said softly, "Emily, you'll never have to worry about me being weak again." She glanced at me with a smirk, assuming I was about to apologize, as I always had. But instead, I walked into our bedroom, pulled out a suitcase, and began to pack. Her phone clattered to the floor as she jumped up. "What the hell are you doing?" "Leaving," I said simply. She laughed at first, thinking it was some kind of dramatic stunt. "Oh please, Daniel. You can't survive without me. You'd come crawling back in a week." I zipped the suitcase and looked her in the eyes for the first time in months without hesitation. "No, Emily. That's what you never understood. I wasn't weak for loving you. But I'd be weak if I stayed here and let you strip that love of its worth. Real strength isn't in begging for scraps. It's in knowing when to walk away." Her expression shifted then, the smirk fading into a flicker of panic. She stepped toward me, trying to sound firm but with a crack in her voice. "You don't mean this. You're just upset." But I did mean it. For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't carrying the weight of her disdain anymore. I rolled the suitcase toward the door, each step feeling lighter than the last. Emily followed me, her voice rising with every word. "Daniel, stop this nonsense. You're overreacting. You think leaving makes you strong? It just proves I was right. You can't handle me." I paused at the doorway, turned to her, and for the first time, I wasn't searching her face for understanding. I wasn't hoping for a change. I was simply done. "No, Emily. Leaving doesn't prove you right. It proves I finally see my worth. You mistook kindness for weakness, patience for submission. But I'm not begging for your love anymore. If that makes me weak in your eyes, then I'd rather be weak alone than broken with you." Her lips trembled, though she tried to cover it with another laugh. But this time, the laughter rang hollow. I walked out without another word, the door clicking shut behind me like the final period at the end of a long, painful chapter. The weeks that followed weren't easy. I had to rebuild my life from scratch, learning to live without the woman I had once believed was my forever. There were nights I questioned myself, moments where the silence in my new apartment felt heavier than her mocking voice ever had. But slowly, I began to see that the emptiness was not punishment, it was freedom. I started running again, something I hadn't done in years. I spent weekends with friends who reminded me what laughter sounded like when it wasn't edged with cruelty. And with every passing day, I grew stronger. Not because I had stopped wanting love, but because I had learned I didn't need to beg for it. Months later, Emily reached out. Her message was short. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. I stared at the words, feeling nothing but clarity. For the first time, I didn't want her validation. I didn't want her back. I simply deleted the message, proof that my strength wasn't in holding on. It was in letting go. Because sometimes, the bravest thing a man can do isn't fighting to stay. It's walking away and never looking back.